Folks, we're joined right now with State Senator Brad Hudson, who is the lead sponsor of Senate Bill 74. Brad, you and I were in committee side by side a couple days ago testifying on this bill, and this has become a hot issue right now in Jeff City because of what's been happening in some of the localities. For example, Jackson County, as you know, last year they pass an ordinance and they say that nobody under 21 can possess a firearm of any kind, handgun, assault rifle, or the ammo unless they're on their own property. But that doesn't comport with the laws that you guys have passed in Jeff City, does it?
Yeah, absolutely not. No, as you know, Aaron, what Jackson County did in passing that ordinance and then overriding the county executive's veto was flagrantly against Missouri law. Missouri law does not allow local municipalities, local counties, local governments to enact gun control like that, and they did it anyway.
It was amazing to me to read the actual news transcripts. Like you said, their own county executive in open session, Frank White, he said, this is illegal. It's not constitutional. It's going to get us sued. That's already begun right now with the Attorney General's office. And he vetoed the measure and they still overrode it anyway. I think it speaks to a growing problem that red states with big blue cities have, which is sometimes they get so big, they believe the rules just simply don't apply to them at all.
Well, absolutely. And when you talk about what our requirements are as legislators up here in Jefferson City, we are to protect the God-given rights of the citizens of Missouri. And we need to send a clear message to any political subdivision in this state that would trample upon the Second Amendment rights of our citizens. No, we are not going to allow this. You can't do it.
So the primary way your bill does that then is to insert civil penalties into existing preemption law. I'm going to read one paragraph here from the current law so folks know what we're talking about. This is 21.750. The General Assembly hereby occupies and preempts the entire field of legislation touching in any way on firearms, components, ammunition, and supplies to the complete exclusion of any order, ordinance, or regulation by any subdivision of this state. It is a crystal clear statute, Senator. The only problem is this was passed, I think, in an era when we all still believed that all the various elements of government here were playing in good faith. And what we're seeing now is that not all of them are.
No, we've got a situation where we've had one county that has basically said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to obey Missouri law. We're going to enact gun control, whether you like it or not. And, we got to send a clear message that that's not acceptable. I'm happy and thankful that the Attorney General's office is going after this situation in Jackson County, trying to protect gun owners there. We in the legislature, we have got to pass this bill to send a message to the entire state of Missouri that we are going to expect these political subdivisions to abide by the law, and if they don't, we're going to allow our citizens to come after them.
And that's the key thing, I think, is to let individual Missourians have a say in this. And that's, like you said, right now we have a fantastic AG. No question he's going to have the backs of gun owners in Jackson County, but we're not guaranteed to always have Bailey across the street from the Capitol. And this takes that situation out of the hands of a governor or the Attorney General's office and lets individual gun owners whose rights have been violated to sue these agencies in civil court for damages. We did this before with SEPA, which of course you were a big help on that over in the House side. But the clear message we want to get conveyed here is we're not letting individual cops be sued. Your bill does not allow for cops to be sued. Rather, it's the agencies that order them to break the law. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not, we're not going after law enforcement officials with this bill. What we're doing is we're going after the political subdivisions that would enact gun control that infringes on the Second Amendment rights of Missouri citizens. We're allowing those citizens that have been wronged by those decisions to go after the political subdivisions.
Which again are the ones who knowingly and willfully and arrogantly and intentionally broke or violated state law with the passage of this. And you're right, if we don't get ahead of this now, it's going to spread all across the state. A year and a half ago, City of St. Louis proposed their own ordinance to ban semi-automatic rifles, to pass red flag laws, all of it, and they were stopped by a letter from the AG's office. But we can see that all of these blue cities are waiting for their own chance to enact their own gun control. And I had a laugh. I'm going to ask you about some of the objections you and I heard in committee, but I had a laugh about, I don't want to bury the lead. So when we were in committee, you and I, we had the Moms Demand Action crowd there. We had a lobbyist from Kansas City there, and they were trying to make their best arguments against the bill. One of the other things your bill does is it takes away the ability of the cities to regulate open carry because I think we both agree it's been abused for a long time. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I when this particular legislation was passed way before my time and they allowed this particular carve out for open carry, it was kind of like a good faith agreement, is my understanding,
Yep.
between the state of Missouri and political subdivisions. Like, okay, this is our agreement. This is where we're going to land. And then after what Jackson County has done, we're not operating that way anymore. You cannot enact gun control stricter than what Missouri law allows. You just can't do it. You can't regulate guns at the local level if you're going to trample on the Second Amendment rights of citizens. We're not going to allow it.
So one of the things, and I got to tell you, I was sitting right behind you because I already testified, and and this lobbyist with Kansas City comes up there, and he basically said, if you pass Senator Hudson's bill, SB 74, and take away our ability to regulate open carry, things are going to get really dangerous in Kansas City. I'm not laughing at the danger and the violence. I'm laughing at the absurdity of saying that things could get dangerous when KC has had a horrible crime problem for decades. What's your thought on that argument when they say if we lose the right to regulate open carry, things will get more dangerous in our communities?
Aaron, it is no coincidence that when you go to some of these places that want to enact the strictest gun control that they can, it's also some of the most dangerous places in our country. The fact of the matter is, criminals by definition do not obey the law. So when you pass gun control laws, what you do is you tie the hands of citizens to protect themselves.
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, no, this is not going to make communities more dangerous. This is going to make communities safer. When we allow law-abiding citizens to be able to carry, be able to protect themselves, it makes for a safer society. An armed society is a polite society.
Well said. Well said. We also heard a lobbyist come on there, and she kind of attacked you. She kind of like turns and tries to I don't know, get up in your space a bit. She said that your bill violates the spirit of local control. And of course, for those who don't know, you were a local office holder for a long time prior to coming to Jeff City. What's your take on that argument? How do you respond to that?
When it comes to local control should never be used as an excuse to enact tyranny on citizens. The Constitution is very clear. The Second Amendment rights of citizens shall not be infringed upon. It is my responsibility as a legislator to protect the God-given rights of my constituents and the citizens of Missouri. And if those God-given rights are being trampled on by anyone, including a local government, then no, we cannot allow that.
Yeah, to me, it's like we have these various levels of government. We have local government, we have state government, we have the courts, we have the executive branch, and all of you have the same job, which is to protect and defend individual liberty, usually from the hands of the government who may try to seek to curtail that. And so I think what you're doing is 100% your job to protect gun owners statewide. The next question, of course, I knew you were going to get hit with this. You don't represent Jackson County, as you like to tell me. You represent God's country down in Southwest Missouri. They were upset that you were carrying the bill that represents or that directly addresses an issue in Jackson County, as though somehow you don't pass laws for the entire state as a state senator. What's your response to that argument?
Well, my response to that would be, I may not have constituents that live in Jackson County, but I have constituents that travel to Jackson County. I have constituents that travel through Jackson County. Those constituents have a right to feel safe and protect themselves wherever they are. And when you're talking about legislation that we work on in this building, we do things that affect the entire state. And my bill is not, it's not a Jackson County bill. It's a state of Missouri bill.
Right.
This bill would apply to any county, all counties, all cities. So I want to protect all Missourians, those that live in God's country, Senate District 33, and those that live in other parts of this state.
That's right. That's right. Last question we heard about a lot in the committee was, what works in rural Missouri, where you live, where I happen to live, does not work in metro Missouri. This is one of the accusations I actually almost agreed with. The policies of blue cities in Missouri is not working, and the policies usually of rural red Missouri are working. Of course, their insinuation was that having more firearms access in a city environment is a dangerous thing. Of course, we would laugh at that argument because we've seen the impact of gun control in these blue cities. What were your thoughts on that conversation, that argument?
I don't ever remember reading in the Constitution where our founders gave an exception to urban areas. I don't remember them saying anything about how this is your fundamental right unless you live in a city. No, they understood that citizens of this great nation have constitutional rights that they have been granted by God, and those rights are with us wherever we go, whether it's a rural area or an urban area.
Yeah, well said, Senator. So the committee, I thought, was very well done. I thought there was a lot of interest in this bill from the committee members. There was no difficulties from the members on the committee. We already had another gun bill passed by that same committee just earlier this week. So it looks like pretty good chance this bill moving through committee pretty fast. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'm optimistic. I'm excited. We're seeing some good gun legislation moving in the Missouri Senate right now. No small thanks to you and the folks that are connected with Missouri Firearms Coalition and their efforts helping to make sure that legislators in the building know that they are being watched by gun owners and they are expected to protect their God-given rights. We got some good stuff going on. I think I see a path here, Aaron. I see a path, and I'm hoping we can get this to the governor's desk this year.
I think you're right. I think to have gun bills being heard, we had the first committee hearing in the Senate on a different gun bill in January. And as you and I both know, when you're having bills, any bill move through committee in January or early February, it is a sign that there is some momentum there on this issue. Your leadership team has seemed to have made this issue a priority. Of course, we're very happy to acknowledge that and to thank them for that. And looking forward to having some big gun fights, so to speak, on the Senate floor, including your bill, Senate File 74. You're busy. You have a vote coming up in a little bit, Senator. I realize that. So thank you for your time today. And we'll be in touch shortly.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me on. Always good talking to you.
Have a great rest of your day. Hey guys, MOFC is fighting hard to expand Second Amendment freedom to make sure our children's children have a right to keep and bear arms. Get involved in this fight today. Number 1, sign up for text alerts. Number 2, follow us on X. And number 3, like and subscribe for more content.